Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. This is the second revision video for marketing fundamentals. This is for week 2, and the topic for that week was global marketing environment. So in this lecture, we're going to look at the environment that the business operates in. So the external factors of the business. So let's see what global environment means. The marketing environment consists of actors, so that's stakeholders or individuals. Stakeholders here is anyone that's impacted by the performance of your organization, and forces which affect a company's capability to operate effectively in providing products and services to its chosen market. So they're saying, in simple words, anything in the environment of the business that affects the business and its ability to operate and generate profit, that is a part of its marketing environment. And this environment can be classified into micro environment and macro environment. Let's see what these words mean. So the micro environment is things that are directly in contact with your company. So that is the company itself, the suppliers, the intermediaries, the competitors, the public, the customers. So these are things that you directly deal with when you're working in a company or when you own a company. Macro environment, on the other hand, is a wider scale. So it's what's happening in the external environment that you have no control over, that you don't have any direct interaction with, but it's still going to impact your business. So this includes the pestle analysis. Last year, you guys studied the pest. The full form of that analysis is pestle. So there is political, environmental, social, technological, economic, and legal factors. So we're going to have a look at each one and see what they mean in a bit. So as you can see, the company is in the center, and then there's a micro environment, which is a closer circle to the company, which has suppliers, customers, like we discussed, and macro environment has the pestle, factors of the pestle. So in economic forces, factors like unemployment, economic growth, interest rates, these all impact businesses in different ways. So for example, mostly if the economic growth is good, there's low unemployment, people have disposable income, that is a good thing for businesses because people are going to want to spend more. The same way, if you look at, let's say, interest rates being low can have a good impact on some businesses and a bad impact on some businesses. So for example, if the interest rate is low and you are a company that gives out mortgages, it's good for you because or a builder that sells houses, because people are going to take loans to buy big products because the interest rate is low. They'll see that as an opportunity. But for someone who's lending money like banks, then the interest rate being low is bad because that means they're making less money. So in this way, these factors can have a good or bad impact depending on the kind of business that you have. And when we've talked about interest rates, the same goes for exchange rates. And taxation, there's two different types of taxes. There's direct tax, which are on our income, like the NI that we pay. And then there's indirect taxes, like the VAT that we pay. So direct taxes are variable, and they depend on the income. But indirect taxes like VAT, everyone has to pay the same amount. Social forces are demographic forces, the kind of trends in the market. There's corporate social responsibility and marketing ethics. That corporate social responsibility is very important. All the businesses that function now, especially the big companies, are putting in a lot of effort, and you will hear a lot of CSR activities, which is corporate social responsibility. So they go on tree planting drives, they go on drives where they pick up trash from seasides and from natural places, from parks. So all of this they're doing because now there's a societal trend and there's a societal pressure that they need to look out for the environment, the society. And cultural forces, this also falls under society. So they're saying there's a lot of different cultures now, and there's very multicultural places. Like the biggest example is where we're living, the UK. There's so many different cultures. That means because of these cultures, there's subcultures under them. And now there's an opportunity for businesses because now there's very niche markets. Niche means a very small market, a very specialized market. And then there's political forces and legal forces. Political forces, the biggest example that we've recently seen was Brexit. And we know that Brexit had a big impact on businesses, whether it was the new legal issues that they had to face, the legislation, the more taxes, more legal regulation. So all of that has an impact on how the business is functioning. Then there's ecological or environmental forces. These are climate change, pollution. Because of these issues, these days, these are more and more important, and because of the increasing population, there's a lot of focus on environmental forces and how they're impacting businesses. So a lot of businesses are having to incorporate stuff like this. So the biggest example is if you go buy a coffee from Starbucks, they have a paper straw. So companies are now trying to incorporate this in their businesses because it's having an impact on them. We've talked about climate change and pollution, and there's technological forces. We all know that technological forces have a big impact on businesses. The biggest example was Nokia. So Nokia was a market leader at one point, and then they did not keep up with the technological forces in the environment and what competitors were doing and the new technology. So even though they were the market leader, they still lost their share, and now they still not been able to regain it, and I don't think they could, because once that gap is created and once you lose that brand image, then it's very hard to recover from that. So it's very important for businesses to keep an eye on these type of forces in the environment, see what kind of new technology, what kind of new trends are happening in the market. So in this slide, there's a pastel analysis of Volkswagen. So I'm not going to go into detail with this, but we're going to have a quick overview. So for example, if you consider that you're working for Volkswagen, and if you try and do the pastel analysis for them, the biggest political issues that they have are with the UK and United States. So we know Volkswagen is from Germany. So now, especially because of Brexit, they have a lot of taxes that they have to pay. They have a lot of regulations that they have to follow. So that's a political factor that's implementing them. Then we come to the economic. Now we know there's currently, the slide says as consumer spending is growing, but now we know there's a cost of living crisis. So that impacts Volkswagen in a negative way, because when there's a cost of living crisis, people will focus more on buying necessities rather than buying big purchases. They're making big purchases like buying cars. Social, so they're saying there's a mixed brand perception for Volkswagen's group. Volkswagen has Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini, Bugatti, all these brands under it, but it also has brands like Seat. So they're saying that all these brands have a different brand image in the minds of the customer. So Volkswagen is struggling a bit with recognition when it comes to the luxury market, and it's struggling to compete with BMW and Tesla. And technological, they're saying now there's a shift towards technological developments where there's self-driving cars. So we know Teslas you can put them on self-drive mode, I think, on the highway. But Volkswagen has not come up with such technology yet. So this is something that Volkswagen needs to keep in mind if they want to continue to succeed in the market. Legal issues. So in around 2015, there was a problem with Volkswagen where there was a scandal where they purposely cheated diesel engine emission tests, and it was called Dieselgate. And because of that, they face a lot of legal repercussions. So this again is a negative impact on the company. And then there's the environmental. So like we said, Volkswagen has not really come up with a car that has zero emissions, or maybe they have, but they don't have enough of them. So there's technological developments that are happening in the environment that the competitors are doing that Volkswagen needs to keep track of, because like we said, if they miss out on these type of environmental technological trends, then they're going to lose their business. So for the environment, Volkswagen needs to make sure that they're giving green alternatives. So maybe a fully electric car with zero emissions, that's something that Volkswagen will need to keep in mind. That was all for this revision video. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me.